In May 2015, there was a report issued by a panel on the DGR, or the Deep Geological Repository here in Canada, a proposal for a waste site right next to the Great Lakes, Lake Huron here in Ontario, Kincardine, where we have the largest nuclear plant on the planet, producing the most waste of any nuclear plant on the planet, called the Bruce Nuclear plant, run by a company called OPG, Ontario Power Generation. And I attended the hearings on this, some of the hearings on this proposed underground deposit, about 2,200 feet under the ground, right next to the lake, within, I don't know, within half a mile or something of the lake. And the panel that was made up by a person called Dr. Stella Swanson, who was the chairwoman, Dr. James Archibald, and Dr. Gunther Mücke. They were the people there, and they approved in May, on May 6, 2015, their report came out and said, no problem. We have no problem with this depository. You can put this suppository into the earth if you want. Now, these three people will be so hated. Now, it may not come to that, because at the time there was a minister of the environment, a native, an Inuit person called Aglukak, who was the minister of the environment at the time, who received this report and said, oh, everything is good. The panel has approved it. We're going to put the thing under the lake and no problem. And I said at the time, if you look at my videos, I said, this will never happen. It looked like a sure thing. They were going to put this thing through real quick. Everything, you know, the nuclear guys always get their way. There's really no responsibility whatsoever. We got to come up with a solution. This is the cheapest thing. Let's do it. And these three panel members, this Stella Swanson, James Archibald, and Gunther Mücke, on record said, no problem. Go ahead and do your nuclear waste right next to the lake. Well, there has been a change. There has been a shift, and this is a good news story. We have a new Minister of the Environment. Actually, this one isn't called just a Minister of the Environment. It's Minister of Environment and Climate Change, Catherine McKenna. Now, the good part in this story is I will attach a link to this. And I said this DGR is never going to happen, not under their proposal, because it's so obvious. This potentially threatens, and this is in people's frontal lobes. This is like in people's frontal lobes, that this situation is totally insane to have 40 million people who depend on the largest, I think it's the largest freshwater deposit lakes on the planet. The Great Lakes, 40 million people rely on it, with an industry of somewhere probably in the 6 trillion range. If you look at this Great Lake community of 40 million people, produce 6 trillion of GDP of some sort, and some nuclear reptile wants to just threaten all that. Well, somewhere the frontal lobe kicked in this minister called Catherine McKenna, very diplomatically, has said, I need a little more, and I'm going to attach her requirements, which basically puts an end to this proposal. And the people that stood behind this, and I knew this wasn't going to fly, because when you get to this level of depravity, of just shoving something under, get something done in like the old boys network, this is beautiful. It's not going to work anymore. It's not going to work anymore, because it's going to hit the frontal lobe, like I said. These proposals that have to be scrutinized by the public, and they figured this panel was going to get away with it. It was so obvious. The opposition to this was monumental, and these scientists that let us down, like Dana Durnford has said, these scientists, these people do not have a conscience. Whatever it is, whatever rationale they might have, it's out bloody rages. However, we have a new government under a fellow called, he's somewhat hilarious. He's kind of a caricature of his father, Pierre Trudeau. Justin Trudeau is our prime minister now, and he's appointed some people that obviously aren't going to put up with the bullshit because they know they're going to be in deep doo-doo if they just sort of rubber stamp stuff. So the synopsis of this is there has been a 15-page order by this new minister to the company OPG to come up with an alternative. And what this company tried to do, this is incredible. What they said, well, this is really the only site, but the other alternative site is the rest of Ontario. They literally tried to pull the wool over this minister's eyes by saying, well, if you don't take this site that we've proposed, basically there is like, I don't know how many, 157,000 square miles that is potentially available in Ontario. Anyway, the ministers are through this. It's dead. It's finished. It's over. They're not going to be able to do this. They wanted to do it on the cheap. They're not going to be able to do it on their 2,300-acre plot that they have these horrible plants, these horrible reactors, 8 of them I think it is, or 6 of them, that are producing the worst of the worst toxic waste. And I said it at the time, this DGR thing will never happen. And there is such opposition. And the people that are involved in this and the people that are, there's a wonderful woman who is heading the Great Lakes, Beverly Hernandez. She's wonderful. She's an advocate on a major level. She has been instrumental in having this thing basically exposed for what it is, that it's madness, it's crazy. And this nuclear plant is aging as well. And we're looking at a very short period of time when things are going to start falling apart. And the great news in this, I just wanted to update, the great news in this is they're not just going to rubber stamp this. And I said in May, this will never happen, even though it was approved by this bunch, by this scientific bunch, these doctors, these sellouts that I mentioned, and they will be hated. They will be hated. I mean, anybody that is keeping in line with who support the company line on this, they're going to be in trouble. They have to be aware of this because people are not going to be as forgiving when something actually, and it has gone wrong. I mean, we are in the fight for our lives with Fukushima. I mean, anybody that hasn't figured this out yet, and what I've called this, we are in the age of fission. The age of fission definitively underscores our existence right now. It is the most monumental age ever. The age of fission, more correctly, the age of nuclear fission. It's the thing that is going to drastically alter the worldview that people have and reconnect us back into some sense of survival that actually that makes sense, because isn't this what it's about? It's that if there is no health, if there is no well-being, well, there is no survival. It will ultimately, all this feeling of this affluence that people feel so attached and connected to, like we're so brilliant, we're so smart. We've really come a long way since we were dragging our lard asses through the mud in the Middle Ages, or even further back, how far we've come. Well, I have always said, if I had the choice, I would choose to drag my lard ass through the mud in the Middle Ages if we could get rid of this ugly monster, this toxicity that we have no clue what to do with. The people that are running the show haven't got any idea what to do with this, and they keep insisting and finding these sycophants, these doctors, these scientists, these experts that try to rubber stamp, but it's not going to happen. This is a major news story as far as I'm concerned. And it's the heading of it is Strike 2 against Canadian radioactive waste dump site proposal. Strike 2. It's finished. It's over with. So good news story, people.